Hello and welcome to Old Lore. Today we're looking all the way back to Craftworld Eldar from the 3rd edition. This is an interesting story as it is Ynnead'S first mention in a codex. So here we go. The chamber was as silent as the grave, which Aldrad Ulfwan thought very appropriate. Aldrad was dressed in a plain white robe, totally unadorned. He was glad to be free of the weight of his many wounds, happy to breathe the sweet air without his ornate ghost helm. Here in the hidden chamber, there was no need for such protection. Here he was totally safe from the attentions of a great enemy. If ever such a place existed, the psychic shielding at the heart of the Infinity Circuit was so strong, not even his strongest force or presence could invade. The ancient Farseer allowed himself a brief smile, enjoying the solitude, both physical and mental. Such moments of peace were few and were becoming even rarer. The moments of wars and bloodshed seemed a million light years away when surrounded by the tranquility of his haven. Even outside the hidden chamber, he had found himself becoming more and more divorced from reality, his mind straying ever further from the skin of probability that mapped out possible futures of his race. Even as his body was slowly crystallizing, his mind was becoming something more than flesh could hold. It was tempting to let the last vestiges of physical life slip, to simply leave his mortal carcass and allow his spirit to flow within the Infinity Circuit. But the time was not yet. He warned himself. He had to choose a successor. He still had many duties left to the living, no matter how far he was becoming removed from them. He opened his mind to the spirits, flowing the Infinity Circuit around him. Sensing their thoughts with practiced ease, he blanked out the individual flickers of sentience and listened with his mind's ear to background music of the Eldar essence. His mind passed out further along the strands of the Infinity Circuit, passing across the barriers between stars to hear the thoughts of other Infinity Circuits on the distant craft worlds linked by immense internal matrix. He pulled away even further to listen to the whole of the Eldar race from afar. It was faint, but Aldrad fancied he could make out a rhythm within the seemingly anarchic cacophony of a billion dead spirits. A dim pulsing like a distant and terribly slow heartbeat, without the babble of each and every spirit interfering. Aldrad could feel greater unconsciousness that lay behind, like a mind of some vast entity that was still very dormant. For countless generations, that pulse had grown stronger, and for untold generations to come, it would continue to quicken and grow. Aldrad knew he would not truly be alive when that time came, nor would his success for 100 lifetimes. In a moment of doubt, he wondered if it would ever come, or whether they were fools to believe could be any escape from she who first. Perhaps they would all die first, their distance stream unfulfilled. Perhaps he would not be strong enough. Thrusting aside these negative thoughts, Aldrad forced himself to believe that ancient prophecies would come true. Once more, he listened to the ponderous pulsing, and he smiled again. This was Ynnead, the god of the dead. Ynnead, the last hope of the Eldar. Now, I like that one. It was back in 3rd edition when GW was still making new lore and trying to get their footing to where they wanted each race to go. And the mention of Ynnead as his final hope, as we now know, is a bigger presence in the warp, especially with the Inari and Aldrad Ulfwan being exiled from Ulthwé, and his plan to resurrect the god being stopped by the Death Watch. It's interesting to see that GW has actually taken this and moved it further now. All those years ago, and this book was published back in, I should have checked this first, 2000. So this is 20 years, it took almost 20 years for this to come into play. And that's really good to see that they're moving the story along, not just with the Imperium, but with other races too. And I would like to see how it works with other races, and how we can see more Necron stuff coming, as we've seen in Silent King return. A lot of things are coming together. We're seeing a bringing together of all these stories, both good and bad. Anyway, like I said, this was Ynnead'S first mention. I actually quite enjoyed the small story. It made Eldrad seem a bit more sympathetic, but this wasn't just him acting brashly. It's been something that he's thought about for a long time, and with his body dying, whether or not his dream would actually come true and be out of race being saved. Anyway, thank you for watching. Down below, as always, is the Element Games links for up to 25% off your Warhammer and Warhammer 40k. Links to the comic and my Twitter. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff as always. I do try to reply to all of them. If I don't, I apologise. I will get back to them eventually. It might be a bit late, but I do try. I really do. I like reading your comments. And thank you very much.